Okay, so we were talking about our two rules. So one was following the Wiccan Rede, and the other one is called the threefold law. You might be familiar with the science of chaos theory and the butterfly effect. We talked about this in a previous video, how, you know, the flutter of a butterfly's wings can affect something on the other side of the world. The science of that butterfly effect is consistent with Wicca. Wiccans believe that everything is interconnected. So whatever a person sends out comes back threefold. So in general, the law means that whatever you say or do, negative or positive, bad or good, will return to you with 3 times the intensity. Some Wiccans believe that this applies to words and actions only, but others include thoughts. So when you hear people talking about witches casting hexes, be very conscious of who you're listening to. Because anyone who's a real witch knows that's not something that we do. And if someone is claiming that they do that, I would take a serious look at them, because the world's full of grifters. It's basically that old saying, what goes around comes around. So just a quick side note about propaganda. Non-Wiccan media and society tend to focus on hexing and cursing whenever the subject of Wicca or witchcraft comes up. And the truth is that most Wiccans don't engage in hexing, cursing, and other negative practices. We do, however, engage in binding and or banishing. So binding is a spell designed to restrict or limit the actions of someone or some type of energy. And we do that to protect that person from causing harm to others. A banishing spell means that we are ordering someone or an energy of some type to be gone. So to banish means to send something or someone away from the area or possibly back to its original source. But a lot of Wiccans generally avoid those practices because they are negative forms of magic. Some Wiccans use binding and banishing spells as last resorts when someone or something poses a serious threat. Usually to their community, for example. A group of Wiccans may decide to bind or banish a criminal who is preying on others. So for example, my cousin's little guy was having trouble sleeping at night. He thought there was monsters in his closet. Thought there was an old man with a hat and an old witch. He described these things very clearly. He seemed to be very believing in what he was seeing at night, and it was disturbing him. And so I came over to the house and I talked to him a little bit about it, asked him some questions. Do you think that they're here for you, to support you? Do you think they're here to be hurtful? And he was quite scared of them. So I performed a ceremony in the house. I saged some of the rooms. We did a spell. We did a protection spell. We brought everything up to his room where we saged his room at the last, did the closet, opened the window, allowed the smoke from the sage to go out the window. I had him participate in telling the spirits that if they're not there to support him, that they're not welcome anymore, and that he needed to tell them that they had to leave. And so he did. He yelled at the closet and said, "You need to get out of my room. You're not welcome here." And we were very specific in the spell, though, because I know he has good spirits around him. I know his grandma's looking down on him and some other people as well. And so the point of the incantation was that if you are not here for the benefit of the children, then your energy is no longer welcome here. Now, the problem is whenever you perform a ceremony like this, you're putting yourself at the risk of harm, because if there is any negative energy out there, sometimes they'll latch on to you. So you have to be very careful before you address this type of thing. I don't recommend at any time attempting to take on the removal of negative spirits. If you don't know what you're doing, it can be extremely dangerous. Negative energies can latch onto you, especially through, scars or old wounds. It gets very complicated. It's not something you want to play with, and even Wiccans don't like to play with it. And the only time we play with that negative energy is if it's legitimately harming someone else and we need it to stop. So the last part of this section is, first and foremost, Wiccans believe that positive, loving energy sent out into the world helps to heal the earth and community and ultimately improves conditions for the sender too. So to make my life better, I need to make your life better. So I'm just going to touch on the colors of magic for a minute, because there are a lot of misconceptions with this as well. You'll hear a lot of people describe various types of magic by using colors. They use words to white, like white magic, black magic, light magic, dark magic. Presumably the terms originally came from dark magic being performed at night in the dark and white magic being performed during the day when it's light. But those are from folklore. Modern Wicca don't use these characterizations today, and there's some of us that actually object to these labels, and there's a few reasons, and I'll explain why, and hopefully you'll understand why I don't use those terms. So first of all, it smacks of racism. right away. Designating that white is good and positive and that black is evil and negative, it just reinforces racial stereotypes. There's end of story, hands down. Now the usage also isn't accurate because magic is a tool like mathematics or computer technology. Magic follows natural law like gravity. Magic just is. It can't be black or white or any other value judgment. The ethics of its use depend on the intention of the user. So I could have a spell and you could have a spell, and I could light a blue candle and you could light a blue candle, and the effect of my spell is going to be completely different than the effect of your spell because it's based on the intent that you're putting into it. It's not, that's why I say you can't just sell a spell to somebody and you can use it. I mean, that's not to say you can't use spells that exist. However, you need to make sure you have a connection to it. Why are you using that spell? What does it mean to you? All the lines in that spell, how do you compute that to the intent you want to put out there? So back to the black and white, using those terms, black and white magic, it reinforces society's misinformation and fear about the nature of magic. In addition, when someone says that he or she is a white or good witch or Wiccan, this distinction implies that others are black or bad witches and Wiccans. Society doesn't label the followers of mainstream religions this way. For example, Methodists aren't asked to declare whether they're white or good Methodists or black or bad Methodists. Now, as much as I don't like to use these terms, they will come up in the book because of the fact that they've been used in historical texts. So I don't like using the words, but sometimes you need to refer to them just for clarification because that's how it's referred to in the past. So white magic generically is performed for a positive purpose, a beneficial result, or spiritual growth. For example, healing or self-improvement. A person works magic for him or herself or for someone who has knowledge of magic and has given consent without any type of coercion. So I want to stop on that. That's another one of the rules that we go by. I can't say a prayer for you without your consent because I cannot decide what's best for you. What if I wanted to pray that your cancer goes away and that your illness goes away? But meanwhile, the entire time you're praying that it hurries up and finishes the job. What if I'm praying for something completely opposite of what you actually want? Now, let me clarify. If someone is very ill, we can perform white magic for a person who is unaware. But in some cases, we make a basic general request for the best possible outcome, and then we send that energy to deity out into nature. So if I'm going to say a prayer for someone who can't give me consent, all I can pray for is that the best outcome for them happens. Because I don't know what that outcome is. I don't know what's best for them. I don't know where they are in their life's journey. I don't know if they've learned their life lesson yet. I don't know if they've made peace with their family. I don't know their situation, and it's not up to me to make a judgment on whether or not to save that person's life or pray for that person to be saved. That person has their own journey, and it's not up to me to decide what that journey is. So I will absolutely pray for the best outcome for you. Whatever you want, I will pray for that best outcome, but I will not decide what outcome is best for you. So now black magic is any magic that's performed to coerce someone into doing something. It's aimed at someone against their will. It's aimed at someone without his or her knowledge, or it's used to produce a restrictive, unwanted, unethical, or objectionable outcome. Wiccans do not knowingly practice black magic. I'm sorry. If you run into somebody on Facebook or social media or TikTok that's telling you that they practice dark magic, they're not a witch. They're not a real witch. I'm sorry. So all these people that are out here saying that people were buying hexes and spells for CK before he passed and that's what the problem is, no, it's a grift. Because whoever was selling those spells or hexes knows darn well that it doesn't work. So they just grifted you out of a whole bunch of money and now they're going to blame you for buying them. Now, we do have gray magic. It's situational. We kind of differ about the ethics of its use. It encompasses all the aspects of white magic, but with an addition that it includes magic for defense or protection of the self or others from danger. There's other colors as well, but the black and white are the major ones. So that was chapter 4, and we'll move on to chapter 5. If you haven't already, please like, follow, and share.